Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Earlier this week I went to Sheffield because it was my birthday, my 25th birthday, and I treated myself to a new farm vehicle. It's probably not what some of you might think I would have gone out and bought, but I've gotten rid of the GTI now, the little up, and I've got something a bit more practical and a bit more rugged for farm work and farm life. And I've been using it over the last couple of days, doing errands, picking up equipment, checking the livestock, and it's been absolutely fantastic. And earlier on this week, on Monday, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and Malcolm, who also works on the farm, and I drove to Sheffield, and it took us 4.5 hours. And when I arrived there, I went to Simon James Cars, and I greeted Simon, picked up the Defender, signed all the documents, taxed the car, and then I got in the Defender for my journey home. And I was initially going down the road, and I was quite scared actually, because I thought to myself, well, what have I done? This is, you know, really difficult to drive, and we've always had Defenders on the farm, but I've not driven one for a long time, not since I was about 13 or 14, when I used to drive them around the fields here. And it took me a long time on the way home. It took me about 2 hours to get used to it, and it was only until I was about an hour away from home that I began to really enjoy the car. And now, having spent a few days with it, I really appreciate what it's about. And going along the road, people put their hands up and they say hello, which in other Defenders, and I think that's part of the culture of them, the club, and it's just quite a nice thing to be a part of. So here she is. I'll show you guys what she's like. And welcome to the new farm vehicle. So it's a 2014 Land Rover Defender 90, finished in Aintree green with matching wheels. They're the solid dish ones, so like the work wheels, and it's got a set of Goodyear tyres on, the Wranglers, which seem to be quite hard wearing, and they're pretty good off-road. I had it down at the marshes the other day, and it was pretty good for checking the cattle, and it's going to be my main workhorse really. And inside, the chap who previously had this had put some Recaro leather seats in, which are, I must say, really quite comfortable. I have got the original seats in here, which I have just put to one side at the moment, and they're going to go into storage. But these seats are really comfortable if you're doing long journeys, and it's not done a lot of work. It's pretty much like new. In the back, I've just got some cardboard in here. I had some oily chainsaws earlier, some rubber matting in here, so if I get anything covered in muck or whatever, I can just wash this all down, which is ideal. And then I've got lower down, if I want to tow anything, the tow bar, the tow hitch, which I need to actually get the tow bar for, so no one's had a tow bar in there. So she's going to see a good few trailers, which means I need to get my trailer license, which is quite difficult at the moment with everything COVID and all that, but I think things are opening up again, so I'll be able to get booked in and get myself a trailer license. And it's the hardtop model, so it hasn't got any windows in the back. It's like a van, I guess, a proper farm vehicle for throwing things in the back, going off-road, and for what I want to do, checking the crops, checking the livestock, and picking up parts. It'll just be absolutely brilliant, and it's just an absolute joy to have it. It's sort of one of the, you know, in the last few years they stopped making them, so it's one of the last ones, and it's got the 2.2 litre Puma engine, which I believe is a Ford Transit engine. Somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong. So they're actually fairly well behaved from what I understand. And I drove it 250 miles back from Sheffield the other day, and I went back, when I got back to the farm, I drove it down to the marshes and checked the cattle on the way home. There's not many vehicles you can do that with. So here we go. Well, with my old vehicle, I couldn't come into the fields and check on the crops because I'd pretty much ripped the skirting board off or beached out on something. So it's nice to be able to come to the fields, check on the crops, see the animals, and see what's going on in the farm. This was the field which I had previously cut only a few weeks ago, the hay field, and it still hasn't had its nitrogen applied. So I need to ring up the spraying company and make sure that we get the nitrogen applied, because we'd like to start making the second cut for August. So it is a bit behind, unfortunately, but the spraying company's been very busy, I think, this year with potatoes and barley and wheat and everything. All the crops are looking really good, so it's understandable, but we will get this fertilised at some point, and then it will hopefully produce a second cut. There's lots of clover in this grass as well. And in many ways, this Defender reminds me of the 434 I was driving at the weekend when I was doing some topping, in that the 434's got quite a heavy clutch. It's difficult to put into gear. You've really got to, you know, crank the 434 into gear, and a bit like the 135 as well. And the steering's quite heavy on the older tractors. So the two are very similar in a way. You know, it's a bit like a modern day classic tractor for the road, if you like. Now, when I drove the new Defender, I really enjoyed driving that car, and it was really comfortable, and it had a fancy satellite navigation screen with Apple CarPlay and all of the latest technology. But as I said in the video, I just didn't feel the connection with that car, and you know, something which I wanted in a Land Rover, or something which I've always wanted if I was to buy a Defender, was some character and something which I could have for a long time and enjoy. And I think, you know, for me, this is the one. And I'm so far really happy with the purchase, and I'm soon going to take it to a Land Rover specialist this week to have it looked over, to have it, make sure it's all in good order, and then you know, I'll open up a service plan and get it looked after. And it's like with a lot of things, you know, if you take the time to look after something, if you respect it, it will look after you. I know there's a lot more reliable machines out there, like the Toyotas are very reliable, Mitsubishis and Isuzus and all of the Nissan range and the Volkswagen Amaroks, but yeah, this was one for me. You know, it's something I'm really going to cherish and look after, so I really appreciate it. I couldn't go out and buy something like this when I was 16 or 17, even though they were a lot cheaper back then, because they were too expensive for me. So it's nice to finally be in a position to have something which I'm going to enjoy and use, if you know what I mean. Here's the Gallops progress, which is all going well. There's some sand there which we've got in to just start making the edge of the Gallops, and it's all coming along pretty well. And the barley, I think we'll have an amazing, oh, the pheasant there, we'll have a really good yield off here. I need to go and sort the grain store out. I've left the John Deere loader in the shed, so we'll have to pull that out, perhaps put the John Deere loader on, because we're going to cut the silage next week, so that would be a good job to do, actually, put the loader on. And yeah, as you can see, it's going to be a bumper crop, I think. It will be a really, really good crop. So I also need to find that baler. And then I'm also speaking to New Holland at the moment about a round baler as well, so I hear some pretty good things about them. They're fairly reliable, rugged baler which can do heavy wet silage and also straw. And for the amount of bales we're going to do with it every year, we'll probably do about 1,000 bales. I think, you know, a budget baler like New Holland would be fine, or Kuhn would be absolutely ideal. And then Jeffrey's got his Lexion, the contractor's got a Lexion to harvest this. And I haven't got a trailer which will go in our grain store, because our grain store's very low, so we need a small, like 5-ton grain trailer, but the neighbour's got a really small one which goes in our shed really nicely, so that's why he carts the grain with that. So whilst he's carting the grain, I'll just bale it up with our baler, which we'll try and hopefully then buy in the future. It'll be another good month on this before it ripens and finishes heading up, before we can actually harvest it. So I imagine it'll be harvested in August time. It's still got a way to go yet, but the heads are looking absolutely fantastic this year. Something else which I've noticed is, unlike my hatchbacks I've had in the past, you really have to stretch the gears out on this before you change gear, because it's obviously a diesel engine. The gear strokes are much longer, and when I was first driving it, I was changing gear too often because I've been used to small hyper hatches and hot hatchbacks and things like that. So it is just taking a bit of getting used to, but I'm loving every minute of getting used to it. And actually, the more I drive it, it's like going back in time driving a Defender, in that you feel as though you're sort of living in the 60s again. It's quite cool, in a way, if you know what I mean. And that's something you can't get from the new Defenders, sort of the hark back to the good old days, and with no AdBlue, no COVID, no computers and technology.
When I saw that in the garage, it looked green.
Yeah.
Now you come there,
Yeah.
and that looked black. Is it you? Or is it someone else? But it does change its colour.
It does, yeah, yeah.
I don't know what colour you got. Well, it's a green, isn't it?
It's like a green, yeah.
Yeah, but well, when you were there, it looked black.
Changes the colour,
Yeah,
doesn't it? I think it looks better with a bit of mud on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's the only thing I got it covered in mud.
Yeah, mud is alright. That's the animal crap you got to watch.
Cattle
a rusty brick on the hell on that.
Oh, right.
You know, that's got bloody. Because that's more of a. I don't know what the hell they call it. More of a acidy type.
Yeah, like ammonia stuff. Yeah, I have to be careful about that. Yeah, cheers for dropping me off for that the other day. That was good. Yeah, enjoyed it. So hopefully it'll last a long time.
Yeah, you had to look after it.
I will. Yeah, I will look after it. Yeah.
Right, I'll say like.
Alright, it's in a bit. That's Malcolm off the farm, who works in a furniture restoring business, and Malcolm dropped me off to go and pick this up the other day. So he's a good chap for doing that. And I'll help him out if he needs anything. We help each other out. So there we are. That's my new, well, new to me anyway, farm vehicle, which I will obviously bed in on the farm, if you like, get used to it, and yeah, it will become part of the farm. Well, it's nice to be back in an air-conditioned cab, back in the John Deere. And recently I've been busy organising the pastures and getting everything back to where it should be for the livestock, and in terms of getting rid of the weeds and eliminating stale grass. And what happens with the stale grass is when the grass seed goes to head, it can go very stalky, and then the grass will be stale for the animals to eat. So I'm just topping off all the grassland around the farm and then going over it with the weed wiper afterwards, where the livestock aren't in the fields at the moment. And then my plan is that sort of by August time we'll have gotten on top of the pasture, tightened up the grass, and then gotten rid of the weeds as well. So it's sort of a bit of a job really to bring the grassland back to where we want to get it to, but it will be worth it in the long term. And I've got the Machio back on, which is 1000 RPM flail mower. I haven't got the front PTO at the moment, having obviously just bought the Defender, and I've got some other equipment which I need. So it will be a little while until we get it on the front. This is a great example here. That's some nettles, the nettle patch which has died off from the weed wiper, and then there's just some nettles which I've missed or have grown through where the wheels have been, and they're now starting to go to seed. So it's an ideal time to get this topped off and organised. So we'll graze this off for some sheep, and then we'll weed wipe it, get rid of the weeds. I'll come back here tonight actually, and I'm going to finish this field off with the little 434 around the edges, because where the tree is here by the sheep pen, I can't get under there and I can't get around the trees, so I use the 434 to go under the trees, and it works really well. And also earlier on this week I've been getting rid of trees off the farm which fell down during the winter, and I pulled out our saws. I was cutting up a couple of trees to bring them back to the biomass pile, and one of the saws needed a new chain. It's had its day a bit, the chain on it, and it might need a new bar soon, but I'll wait a little while. This is our Stihl M5 460. This is one of my favourite saws, but this one I've just got a new chain for it today, so we've got to put that on. And then the little one, that's just had a basic service, that one, so that one's all right. And I've got to put this chain on, and there's also a new sort of throttle puller. We had that on since new, and one of the dogs chewed it up, so I just thought I'd treat it to a bit of a spruce up, because it's been a blooming good saw, this big one, the M5. So I'm going to take this to an old boy in the village who's really good with old saws, and he's teaching me at the moment how to service them and look after them myself, which is quite good. It's just a good skill to have. So I'll pop these in the back of the Land Rover later, and we'll get them organised and sorted out, get the new chain on. So everything's going really well at the moment. We've been doing the Hello. Doing all the pastures, doing the topping, checking the livestock, checking the crops, and the sugar beet looks fantastic. I forgot to show you that, guys, today, guys. And also the fodder beet looks awesome as well at the moment. But always, as is always the case, normally when the crops do really well, the prices go the other way. So hopefully we'll have some good yields with good prices to match this year. And maybe we could look at potentially down the line some more little pieces of equipment to pull behind the John Deere for the arable as well. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the addition to the fleet, the Defender, and I'm more than happy with it so far. And I'll let you know and I'll keep you updated on how it's going and how I'm getting on with it on the farm. Oh, and also as well, we've got the free-range chicken place we're going to be visiting soon, exploring another farming enterprise, farming business to do on the farm here. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, farming these days you seem to have to do so many different things in order to make a living, or you have to do it on a big scale. So we're going to be visiting the chicken place very soon. Thank you very much for watching today's video, and I will catch you on the next one.